Welcome back, YouTube, to the GOATcast podcast, where we give you NBA thoughts, past, present, and in the future. So a few days ago, some NBA writers posted their mid-season awards for MVP, Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Sixth Man of the Year, Most Improved Player, and this Clutch Player Award, which is still a fairly new award. I think the first time it was awarded was last season.
Yeah,
where it was awarded to De'Aaron Fox. And then obviously we have Coach of the Year. So this prompted me and CW to get into a spirited debate over what our picks are for the mid-season awards. So I will let CW start with his MVP. The floor is yours.
Okay, so for the Kia MVP so far mid-season, I have Nikola Jokic. And why do I have Nikola Jokic? Now I see your face, but let's just get to some numbers. Okay. The Denver Nuggets are currently 29-14, third in the West, but could move up. Everybody in that 1 through 4, as you said, they are one game. You lose one game here, you lose one game, or win one game here. You could shoot up to the first spot out west. So there was no championship hangover. But here's the big one. I'm gonna give his stats. He's averaging 25 points, 11.9 rebounds, 9 assists. Pretty much leads most good statistics for his team. He's averaging the most for those, and 0.9 blocks. But here's the kicker. He just passed the greatest of all time on the PER list. Jordan's had that for years, and with what I believe it's a 27.92. Jokic is now number one in player efficiency rating. So, I mean, he's the MVP. I mean, they're winning. They're doing well. He's the best right now. He's the best out of anybody in the NBA, past, present, and future. So he gets my nod for MVP right now.
Ooh. Okay. All right. Well, let me go ahead and give y'all my MVP so far in this season, and that is rightfully Mr. Joel Embiid. Okay, obviously we got his numbers: 35 points a game, about to get his second scoring title, 11 rebounds per game, 6 assists, 1.2 steals per game, and 2 blocks per game. All right, Mr. Joel Embiid, 20 straight 30-point games, all right, extending a franchise record. He is balling this year. All right.
Okay.
Now, getting to your Mr. And again, obviously, we're going to look at records. Obviously, 29-13. They're only 3.5 games out of the first seed. All right, we get all that. But your man, Mr. Nikola Jokic, who is great, but he is not an MVP. And when people look at this season, these two just played a few nights ago. The same day that article with the NBA writers for the midseason awards was posted. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And the Sixers did just get done beating the Nuggets by 5. And Joel Embiid outperformed him. Now, let me give you their numbers. Let's give the numbers. All right. I'm going to give your guy first. Give him the floor first. All right. What? So, Mr. Nikola Jokic, 25 points. All right, 19 rebounds. All right, very good. 11 of 20 shooting. Didn't really get to the free throw that much, but 25 and 19 on 3 assists. All right. Very good numbers. Now let me give you my man. All right, 41 points, 10 assists. When people talk about Jokic's passing, Embiid has been doing a very good job at responding to coverages, making the right read on passes. He's been great. So 41 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds. Now, obviously, somebody in the comments, when I was looking at this on House of Highlights after watching the game, because I did watch this game, and Embiid was cooking.
I watched it, yeah.
Somebody mentioned that it's crazy that Jokic had like double, triple his rebounds, whatever the case was. And I get that. But when you look at how the offense was ran, Embiid was, free throw line extended. Like, he wasn't getting it on the block like that, per se, to where he could crash and get all the boards, because he was, up there with Jokic on some plays. etc., etc. But I'm just going to say, if we're looking at right now, if it was between those two, which is other people involved in the MVP race, but out of those two, it's clearly Joel MVP Embiid, excuse me. So
he's got to stay. He's got to be on the floor, though. He has missed quite a few games to the point where it might knock out his eligibility to even be in the running for MVP soon. He's got to play 65 games. He's getting close to missing too many games. So that's why I bumped him down, because he's been missing a lot of games. He's injury prone. And Jokic is out there every night on the battlefield with his troops. So Jokic is the MVP.
Let me see. Hold up. Before I move to the next one, I mean, so Denver's 29-14, like you said, and Sixers are 28-13, but you said Joel Embiid missed a good amount of games. They still right there, tied up. I'm just saying.
I have something to say about that a little later in this list. So,
okay. Well then, so obviously, those who have been keeping up with our videos, when I'm getting to the Rookie of the Year debate, knows that I have Chet Holmgren as my MVP, and Mr. CW has Mr. Victor Wembanyama.
Easy.
Now, I don't know how else I can explain this, but I'm gonna do this in the most respectful way possible. Okay?
All right.
So the Spurs, Wembanyama's team, they are currently, as this video is, 8-34. Okay. And obviously OKC is 29-13. I'm not even gonna get into the numbers right now. We both know that they're putting up great numbers for rookies. But let me interest you in some revisionist history. Okay, in the last 5 Rookie of the Years, Paolo Banchero of the Magic, they were 34-48. The Raptors, Scotty Barnes, 48-34. LaMelo Ball was 33-39. John Morant, 34-39. And Luka Doncic, 33-49. Now,
records.
Okay, they all are losing records, but the Spurs are on pace, currently constructed to win 16 games. They're about halfway through the season, 8-34. Can we not? I know Victor Wembanyama is playing great. I know that he's been underutilized and they've lost some games because of it. But let's stop the noise. He's not winning Rookie of the Year. He's not making the All-Star team because they're not winning enough games. It's as simple as that.
Isn't it called Rookie of the Year?
Yes, Chet is a rookie though. Based on the NBA's rules, he's a rookie. It's called
Rookie of the Year. It's not winning Rookie of the Year. It's not rookie that was lucky enough to get with one of the best teams in the NBA of the year. It's Rookie of the Year. So who's playing the best basketball? Let's look at the numbers. Victor Wembanyama basically averaging 20 points, 10 rebounds, 3.2 blocks a game. Compare that to Chet, 17 points, 7 rebounds, 2.7 blocks a game. So what numbers look better?
Can we pull up the efficiency? Because giving raw numbers is cool, but let's
okay.
Efficiency. Chet is 54%, and what's Wemby 46?
Close enough. Yeah.
Okay. And 3-point percentage, Chet's 38, and Wemby's 29, 31, something like that.
Pretty much, yeah.
He is a more efficient scorer than Wemby. And they're averaging similar numbers. 17 points to 19 points. Obviously, he's got more in the rebounding department, and Wemby does at 10 rebounds to Chet's 7. Yeah. But in terms of just Wemby's barely scoring more, he's shooting more field goal attempts. Okay. And their points per game are pretty much the same. And the impact of winning that Chet has had on that OKC team is not even comparable to Wemby.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Okay.
Take Chet off of OKC, put him in Detroit, put him in Washington. Are you still calling him Rookie of the Year?
Absolutely.
With those same numbers, and they're winning the same amount.
They're not going to win the same amount of games because Chet is a winner. He would make those teams astronomically better.
He got the third the guy third in MVP in the MVP race right now, Shea. What you telling me if he goes to Detroit with Cade Cunningham, he's gonna make the same impact?
Yes, they would have won. Currently speaking, they would have won way more games with Chet. I'm not saying they'd be a top 10 or not even top 10, excuse me, like a top 5 team in the East or nothing, but they would win way more games. Because what's the one thing that I've told you is the issue with the Pistons? They have no spacing. The NBA is about pacing and spacing. And Chet provides both of those things. He can get up and down the floor. He's a great defender. He's only marginally a worse defender statistically than Wembanyama. He's a more efficient scorer, a better shooter, a better shot creator. The only thing that Wemby does better than Chet is probably finish around the basket.
That's what he's supposed to do.
But he's 7'5" and Chet's 7'1". Chet is like more like a KD-esque player. Like he is a finesse.
No. Commentators, please get on that.
What?
I'm compared to KD
in terms of their play style, not their production, not their like makeup. He's a skinny scorer. He's a 7'1", like he's a wing. He just plays down low, but
isn't that what Wemby is? Wemby plays like a wing.
Yeah, but they give him the ball more in like the low post area. He's getting lobs, dump off passes, like he's getting those big man type touches. Where Chet is getting it mid post like a wing would, and he's creating from there, shooting over people who got him at least 5-6 inches shorter than him, because he's got that kind of bag. It just makes more sense.
I cannot believe you said if Chet was on the Detroit Pistons, they would be winning at a higher clip.
We'll look at it like this, because I have this point for my coach of the year, but I'll give you this, right? Mm-hmm. So in the middle of the season last year, the OKC Thunder, the same roster without Chet Holmgren, was 18-23. Okay? Like you said, they're currently what, 29-14? Mm-hmm. 29-13, excuse me. 29-13. So adding Chet, keeping all the same pieces, but adding Chet, they are 29-13.
So you don't attribute that to Shea's growth?
Shea has grown, but are you going to tell me that the emergence of Chet Holmgren didn't unlock this team? Like we can't.
I will say it helped, but I don't think it's catapulted them as you were trying to make it out to be. But
okay, well, riddle me this: is he not their second best player?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're telling me a rookie walks on to an established OKC team and becomes their second best player, and he's not rookie of the year on a team that's talented. Whereas you got Wemby,
they got a lot of talent, like you said, they're a talented team.
But you got Wemby walking into a dumpster fire,
with
that team,
and still putting up numbers.
He's putting up numbers, but they're not winning. So he can't be rookie of the year if he
doesn't have the personnel.
His numbers. Let's just be honest. His numbers are not a credit or attributing to winning. Those numbers that he's putting up are great.
They're not empty
stats. But they're not
though.
Translating to wins.
You don't think 3.2 blocks per game is attributing to that team? I mean,
to the win.
He can't do it all. He can't do it all. He can't score, rebound, and play defense. Name me a player that's ever done that, been able to do that by themselves. And please don't say LeBron.
You said scoring, rebounding, and what?
And defending, and have to be one of their best defenders.
LeBron James definitely has done that.
Okay, what's the name?
Miami LeBron scoring, rebounding, averaging 27, about 9 to 10 rebounds a game, 7-8 assists, and being one of the best defenders, almost winning a Defensive Player of the Year back in 2013. Do I need to pull the numbers? You were there. Don't act like you ain't surprised that LeBron should have got that defensive.
Here we go.
That's one thing we won't get into.
So there you go. You're comparing Wemby to LeBron. So he's rookie of the year.
But he's not.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
He's not there yet. But speaking of defensive player of the year, this one should pretty much be unanimous between the both of us. So I have Rudy Gobert as defensive player of the year.
Everybody's got Rudy Gobert. Easy.
He's the best. He has the best defensive rating in the entire NBA. I'm a shout out to Karl-Anthony Towns because he's number 3. Rudy Gobert is at a 104, and I believe, pull the numbers really quickly, but I'm pretty sure that Towns is 108. Yes, he is currently 108. So he's the number
solid
3.
For somebody that's not known for defense. That's pretty good.
And while we're on the subject of defense, Joel Embiid is number 2. That is why he is my MVP, because he plays both ends of the floor.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I missed those numbers, but okay. But still, Jokic. I'm going the long. I'm doing the long game for this one. Jokic in the end will prevail, but they're not going to give it to Jokic. I already know that.
So we are in agreement of Rudy Gobert being defensive player of the year. Honorable mention Anthony Davis, but they're not winning enough games right now. So yeah.
I mean, maybe.
So another controversial one, I think, will probably be Sixth Man of the Year. So since you started on MVP, I'll make the case for my Sixth Man of the Year.
Okay.
And that would be Mr. Malik Monk. Now, Malik Monk, in 26 minutes of action, 15 points a game, 5.5 assists per game, 43% from the field, 39% from 3-point line. All right, these are very good numbers. Not great, but very good numbers. And the one person that I'm seeing a lot of buzz about, and I don't know if this is your pick, I'm seeing a lot of noise from Tim Hardaway Jr., and I'm seeing a lot of noise from Austin Reeves. Okay. So those two guys, very good basketball players. Those guys are not the same caliber player as Malik Monk. When you think of Malik Monk, you think of a true six man, somebody who can come in and then like initiate the offense. He can light you up at any given time with the ball in his hands. He is dynamic. He was a nightmare for Golden State last year in the playoffs. He comes in and he can take the whole game over. He can get you 30, sometimes even 40. So looking at what he's done this season, obviously he's had some ups and downs this season, but in terms of the totality of the 40 plus games they played so far, I got Malik Monk as my Sixth Man of the Year.
Funny you should say that, because so do I.
Okay, well,
I mean, he's the new age Lou Williams. I mean, he comes off the bench and gives you immediate impact. He can light up a team. He's on the perfect team with that Sacramento Kings team that likes to run. They up and down. He fits perfectly in that mold. I mean, I've looked at Tim Hardaway Jr.'s numbers. He's doing pretty good. And Austin Reeves, he's been more consistent since coming off the bench, but I wouldn't say he's Sixth Man of the Year because he's in and out of the starting lineup. Tim Hardaway Jr., if they were winning more, if Dallas was in that 1 through 5 range, I think he'd be a no-brainer. I mean, him and Kyrie put up, 80-something points together a couple nights ago. So he can light it up, but I think what Malik brings to that Kings team is much more than even what he brings to their team. So I got to give it to Malik. He's averaging 15 points per game, and he's a Manu Ginobili of the Sacramento Kings. So he should get some love this year.
And so going into the next one, the most improved player of the year, I'm curious. I think we might have the same one, but I'm curious to see who your pick is for most improved player.
If you're thinking wisely and you've been watching this season, there should be no doubt.
Okay.
But my most improved player is Tyrese Halliburton.
No.
And I say that he's from last year to this year, he's averaging about 3 more points than last year. He's averaging 2 more assists than last year. He's shooting 40% from 3, 49, almost 50% from the field. And he became a household name during that NBA Cup run. They smacked the Boston Celtics, got to that NBA Cup final. I mean, LeBron and them kind of made him look sad, but I mean, he was all over inside the NBA. He was getting all these interviews. People know who he is. He's number 1. I believe he's still number 1 in the All-Star voting, fan vote. So he's done something to elevate himself to everybody knows him. So I think he's got to be most improved player of the year. And they're winning. And I've failed to mention that they're 7th out East, 24-18, but that's not bad. I mean, They're above 500. Now they got Siakam, so I mean they lost their first game together, but there's some growing pains maybe there. But I mean there's no doubt, I think, and he's a closer. So yeah, Halliburton is the most improved player.
Before I get into mine, because we definitely disagree there, I want to give an honorable mention to Sengun of the Rockets.
He was on my list.
I think he jumped up 7 points in his points per game. I think going from like 15 last year to about 22. Efficiency is about the same in the rebound category.
I know who you're going to say.
Oh yeah, you know who I'm going to say. Let's go ahead and get into him after I show some love. It's Tyrese Maxey, baby.
I knew.
Come on now. He has been cooking them boys. He went from 20 points to 26, 6 more points per game to Halliburton's 3, okay? 3.5 assists a game from last season to 7, so he's doubled his assists per game. He's got the ball in his hands more. He's making good decisions with the ball. He's hard to guard. He is hard to stay in front of. That quick first step that he has is unmatched. We're talking almost De'Aaron Fox-esque. Sometimes on the same tier, right? Rebounds are the same. Now, obviously, with more shot attempts, his field goal percentage has taken a dip. Same thing with his three-point percentage, but that's to be expected when you're shooting a higher volume of shots. And he's still in the 45 field goal percentage range, which is still good for guards. And obviously, he's still shooting 38% from the three-point line on higher attempts. So that's really good. He is easily the second best player on an MVP-led Joel Embiid team, right? And they needed him to come into this role and keep them where they are now, because as much as I love Joel Embiid, if Maxey does not chip in his 26, there's no way they're the third best team in the Eastern Conference.
Okay, I mean, yeah, but I think what Tyrese has gone from, and it was kind of his team last year, but he's really shown that this is his team now. The Pacers are Tyrese Halliburton and the Pacers. So I think the fact that he took over a team that was middle of the pack, no one really cared about the Indiana Pacers. I don't even think they had any televised games in the last, I don't know how many years, to, like I said, a household name. The Pacers are a team people want to see play now. I think you can't overlook that. But I mean, Tyrese Maxey has played extraordinarily well. He's definitely an all-star, and he's going to get his money over this offseason, but I'm giving it to Halliburton, the better Tyrese right now.
That's crazy. Better Tyrese. I can't give it to you.
The overall better Tyrese right now.
I mean, what does he do better than Tyrese Maxey besides he's a way better playmaker? I'll give you that.
He can close. He closes better. He's a closer. He should win this next award, but I didn't put him. But he can. I mean, we saw what he did to what team? I don't know if it was the Bucks. It's one of the teams. It might have been.
He torched the Bucks and he torched the Celtics.
Yeah, it came to the last few minutes, and he was a bucket every single time down court. And he's got. I'm pretty sure he has the highest assists in the game right now. He's. I mean, he's scoring and contributing.
I guess we'll have to agree to disagree, because I don't see how in the world you don't give that. That man jumped from a 20 points per game score to a 26. We're talking about basically fringe all-star numbers to almost all NBA numbers. And that's a big jump. When you're talking about a fringe all-star to an all-NBA caliber production, that's a big jump.
I mean, it's a big jump.
With Joel Embiid on your team, getting most of the shots, and you're the number 2 guy.
I mean, he stepped in that role well. Once they got rid of Harden, he stepped in that role with ease, and he's contributing. But like I said, I just think everything is on Tyrese. The scoring and him getting the guys where they need to be, him getting the guys the ball where they need it. I mean, he's the guy right now out east.
So, going into our clutch player of the year.
And where were the Sixers in the finals of the NBA Cup?
Man, they don't. Man, they worried about the playoffs. They ain't looking at the in-season tournament. That's for young teams, inexperienced teams. You know, that's their time to shine. And obviously, Lakers, they did their thing. but they were just, I guess, focused on winning that instead of winning the rest of the games this season because they've looked putrid. But anyway, clutch player of the year. So I'm curious to see who you got for this one before I get into mine.
I didn't go into a whole lot of detail with this because I feel like that's a hard thing. I'd have to do tons of research to really come down to who's been truly clutch. I know they have some kind of clutch statistic they show, but I don't think, I mean, you can't really be accurate on that. So I went with Steph. I mean, early in the season, and right now he's going through the motion, it seems, but I mean, Steph's been lighting it up when necessary, and at certain points in the season, he's been helping them get the W's. But now, you know, they're a struggling team, as we talked about before. But I just picked Steph because he just seemed like the guy should be the clutch player of the year, with very little research. Sorry, y'all.
So I did my research on this one. This one really wasn't that hard of a choice for me. So like I mentioned earlier, last year's clutch player of the year was De'Aaron Fox. Mind you, the Kings were the 3 seed in the West. So I made my pick subject to winning. Okay. So I did my research, and per 48 minutes, the top 5 players who have scored clutch points, and Anfernee Simons from the Trailblazers, per 48 minutes, he actually scored 74.3 points in the clutch. It's a small sample size, so don't like, oh goodness, he's scoring that many points in the clutch this season. Like, nah, it's only a few games, so take that to the side. He has been clutch, but that was about a 9-game sample size. All right, the next one we have Terry Rozier, 58.9 clutch points per 48 minutes. Really good, but the Hornets suck. Moving on, we have Curry, your guy that you just said, and he was number 1 on that list. All right, on this list of 5 players, he was number 1. But like you said, they're really not winning that many games. So I don't know what your definition of clutch is, but you can score all the points you want in the clutch. But if y'all don't win, it really don't matter. And he scored 60.4 per 48 minutes. So again, really good numbers. But the Warriors aren't winning games, so I can't give you that if you're in the bottom of the Western Conference. Trae Young is another great one. 72.4 points in the clutch. Ice Trae, you know, great. And the Hawks have been coming along. I think they moved up to the 10th seed in the East, excuse me, as we're recording this video. But again, they don't have a winning record. You know what? One guy who does have a winning record, and he's on this list, Joel MVP Embiid, and he's got 61.1. And to me, it's all about winning. And those other 4 guys do not have winning records. Joel Embiid does, so he's my pick for the Clutch Player of the Year award.
You put it like that, okay? But you got Joel winning everything down the board, just about.
Just MVP, just MVP and Clutch Player of the Year.
Talking about.
I mean, he's number 2 in the defensive rating, but I don't got him as DPOI. I got that I'm giving that respect to Rudy Gobert.
Okay.
And lastly, we got Coach of the Year. Now, for me, only 3 candidates come to mind: Ty Lue, Chris Finch, and Mark. I can't pronounce his last name, but we have Ty Lue coaching the Clippers.
3? Those are the only 3.
Those are the only 3 I got.
Okay.
I'm not throwing in Missoula from the Celtics. Hey, shout out to you, my guy. But let's be honest, that team is a really good team, and they've been together for a decent amount of time. They'd be that good without Missoula. And I've spoken to plenty Celtics fans, and they'll tell you that, not me. Okay, but so for me, I wanted to say Ty Lue because when you think of the addition of James Harden, how trash they looked until recently, as these last 10, 15 games, they've looked a whole different team. They've been great. And like you said, I think they're in the 4th seed, and there's a few games between them and the 1 seed. They've turned their whole season around. Yep. And you got to attribute that to some great coaching. Yep. But for me, because obviously we got Chris Finch for the Wolves and Mark Daigneault for the OKC Thunder. For me, you got, look, everything you can say about the Timberwolves, you have Karl Anthony Towns as the number 3 ranked defensive player at the NBA. All right, if you can get someone who was as trash as he was on the defensive end to be a top 3 player, that comes from some great coaching to put him in spots to attribute on that side of the ball, because we know he has not been good on that side of the ball throughout his career. I attribute that with coaching. And another graphic I told you about, middle of season last year, the Timberwolves were 19-21. All right, they are currently 30-12, right? And they are the number 1 team in the West. All right. And like I said, looking at the other teams, I talked about the Clippers, they were 21-20 about halfway through the season last year. They're 26-14, right? Really good, but Timberwolves are still better. 18-23 for the OKC Thunder. Now they're 29-13. Another really good. But again, I think when you look at those 3 teams, the biggest addition for the Clippers was adding Harden, and that's very commendable. That's why Ty Lue's in the discussion for me. For OKC, the only thing they added was Chet Holmgren, and he seemed like a seamless fit, right? Didn't seem like too much back and forth, no identity crisis, nothing. He just plugged right in and he was ready to go. Yeah. But for me, the biggest thing was the way that they unlocked Karl Anthony Towns, because this is the best he's looked in a Timberwolves jersey alongside Rudy Gobert. Anthony Edwards has come into his own this season. Yeah. So to me, I attribute that with coaching. Because like you said, when you had that discussion about the most and least important, people on the basketball court, I said coaching really wasn't that important to me, right? But seeing his impact, a good coach, his impact on this Timberwolves team has me giving him his flowers. I have Chris Finch as my coach of the year from the Timberwolves.
That's respectable, but I disagree. Going back to, you've talked about Joel Embiid winning MVP. We've talked about Tyrese Maxey, most improved player. So you got to give the coach something. I'm going with Nick Nurse as coach of the year. For him to have to deal with the drama of James Harden, then the trade that went down, having to put Tyrese out there. He was respectable, like you said, last year, 20 points. But having him be your second guy on your team, implementing Nick Batum, Robert Covington, the Morris twin, all of them into his system seamlessly. They're third out East. They're winning. They're beating solid team. They, like you said, they just beat the Nuggets. Mm-hmm. And they're doing it with a lot of efficiency. And let me bring up the numbers. I got some numbers here. They are 6th in offense and 4th in defense. So they're getting it done on both ends of the floor. Like I said, he's coaching these guys up to a higher level. And I think that Nick Nurse definitely deserves the nod as coach of the year this year. Coming into what he came into after Doc had to go and all of that, coming into this, James Harden drama and not knowing what was going to happen, if that trade was going to, if they were going to get a trade, having to deal with Diva Harden. And he did it with no issues, no drama. The Sixers are winning, and he should be named coach of the year. But I do agree, Chris Finch, with the Timberwolves. But you got to understand that team has had some chemistry, some togetherness, unlike some of the pieces that the Sixers have had to implement in. They're veteran guys, so it's easier to put those guys in there. But for the most part, he was able to, as I said, pivot from the James Harden drama and still stay winning a lot in a tough Eastern Conference.
Okay, first of all, because I know we don't have that much time, we cannot attribute that James Harden drama to coaching. Okay, now it takes some grown men, it takes some grown men to just put their big boy pants on and move on from that situation, right? These are professionals. I'm not going to give that to coaching. What I will say, to your point, is they have looked really well. And those pieces, those old pieces that look like they were a bunch of washed up bums, and on the Clippers with Ty Lue, He's made them, given them all new life, and they all look like some good contributors on a contender.
Nick?
But I will not give him the nod over Chris Finch because, like I said, this is basically the same team from last year. And players like Naz Reid has had a big jump this year. Anthony Edwards, we know what he's doing. He's starting to become the poster child of the NBA. And obviously, like I said, you know how I feel about Towns and his defensive impact this year. You know, on that side of the ball, he's been absolutely great. And we know what Rudy Gobert gives us. So I'm just saying, you coupling all those together, they're the number one ranked defense in the NBA. Obviously, I want to see their offense get better than 21. But we still got time, and we got a whole.
They're in that 10 range on both. So,
hey,
I mean,
you a number one defensive team, but like you said, like the old people say, defense wins championships. So it really don't matter how good your offense is. If you can lock down on that end of the ball,
between first and fourth, that's not that big of a difference when you have the best defense against the fourth best defense.
Twin Towers. Twin Towers.
Oh man, come on.
I'll see you at the rim. Twin Towers.
Embiid will cook both of them up. You just said it. So
I wouldn't put money on that one, but he would give them buckets. But I wouldn't say he'd cook them. Like, he's gonna work for his buckets, but that's all we got time for. Let me know what you guys have for your midseason awards. If CW is, you know, just be nice to his picks, because we know his picks aren't the best.
Always right.
Credit that to his age. You know, he's a little on the older side, so just be nice in the comments. Don't get him too bad.
They know I'm right.
But we hope y'all have a good one. Hope y'all enjoyed this video, our spirited debate. You got any parting words?
Please like and subscribe. Let us know what you guys think.
And keep clicking on the videos. Y'all have been doing great, showing mad love. We definitely appreciate it. Like you said, hit that like, subscribe button, comment down below. Let us know what you think. Anything we said, anything you want us to talk about in the future, just let us know. Even if you want to say hi, hey, we'll say hi right back.
Exactly.
All right, y'all.
All right, so we'll be back later this week.
Sir.